to From Betrayal to Breakthrough. I'm Dr. Debi Silber, and today's guest is Hale Dwoskin. Hale has dedicated more than 4 decades to teaching and sharing the Sedona method, which helps people alleviate their suffering and discover the truth of who they are. Hale is the author of the New York Times bestseller, The Sedona Method, and the co-author of Happiness is Free and It's Easier Than You Think with Lester Levinson. He's one of the featured teachers in the book and movie phenomenon The Secret, as well as a featured teacher in The Greatest Secret. He's also featured in the movie Letting Go. Hale is the Director of Training, Chief Teacher, and Spokesperson of Sedona Training Associates, an organization created to promote the emotional releasing techniques inspired by his friend, mentor, and teacher, Lester Levinson. He is also a founding member of the Transformational Leadership Council. I'm so honored to have this next guest on the show. I read his book and learned of his amazing practice about 14 years ago, and it's just as relevant, if not more so now, than it was back then. Today, I'm speaking with Hale Dwoskin, and he's going to be sharing his insights and wisdom as he walks us through the Sedona method. You're going to love this practice and this episode. Here we go. Okay, everybody, I have Hale Dwoskin with us, and if you're not familiar with the Sedona method and how wonderful it is, you're about to be. So welcome, Hale.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
We're so glad you're here. You know, it's so wonderful because I remember reading your book. I'm not kidding. It had to be at least 10 years ago. How long has it been around?
The Sedona Method book has been around since 2003.
Okay, so 2003. I probably picked it up in about 2007. Mm-hmm. That's when I was just in that exploration stage, and I must have heard you somewhere, and I said, I have to learn more about that. Let's just start with, what is the Sedona method?
Well, the Sedona method is a tool that anyone can use to let go of the pain, the suffering, the hurt, the disappointment, the anger, and any other limiting thought or feeling that's preventing us from moving on with our lives, having what it is we want to have, and letting go of the stuff that we don't want to have in our lives. And it really is something that is natural. We all have this natural ability to let go. We've just lost touch with it. And as you explore the Sedona method, you get in touch with it again. And then it's on call. So that's what it is in a nutshell.
Yeah, and it sounds so wonderful to have a tool that's on call. And I know in a little bit we'll actually go into it more, how we can use it. But I always try to get into the minds of my listeners and my viewers, and they're saying,
go for it.
I've had, this deep betrayal, this shattering of my heart. How is just some little tool going to help me let go? What do you say to that person? And
actually, that's a really good question. I've worked with people who've dealt with betrayal, childhood abuse, PTSD. Is that, am I pronouncing? Yes, I think I said that right. I work with some of the people who were at ground zero in 9/11. I've worked with people who've trying to recover from severe car crashes and all sorts of traumas. And I work with people who are just ordinary people who don't have this huge, obvious challenge, but they're dealing with the everyday challenges of the stress and tension of dealing with work, dealing with family, dealing with the way the world is. And the reason I know this simple way of letting go is so powerful is I've been doing it myself since 1976. And I've been helping people with it since 1976. And hundreds of thousands of people do this all over the world. And what they find is that when they're open to letting go, they're not letting the other person off the hook. They're letting themselves off the hook. We often believe that if we are angry at someone or we feel let down by someone, if we let go of that feeling, then we're somehow condoning the other person's behavior. However, it's not like that. If you let go, you're always doing it for you. And unfortunately, often when people have betrayed us, they've moved on. They don't even think about us anymore, but we're left holding the emotional baggage. And so if you are willing to let go of the angst and the anger and the frustration and the feeling let down and all the other feelings, then what happens is you're less likely to find yourself in a similar situation again. And you're not schlepping all the excess baggage that we tend to carry when things don't go the way we want them to. And when you put your excess baggage down, then your life lightens, your heart opens, your body relaxes, and you see life with a lot more clarity and insight and understanding. And you don't feel the victim anymore. You can start to take control of your life in a very organic, natural, integrated way.
And it sounds, there are so many people who listen to the show, watch the show, who say, I just want peace. And it sounds like such a wonderful way to get to that place of peace. Can you give us examples of, let's just take someone in deep trauma who used the Sedona method, and then how they were before, and how
Oh,
they
sure.
were. And then I also want to just, maybe an example of just a regular person who was just stressed, and then they used it, and the difference in them as well.
Well, uh, again, I work with so many people, but I do it in a group situation. So I don't always know the stories that well of each person, but I can tell you the generalities because actually they're the same. Before you have people come to me in various states of inner contraction, in various states of having shut down and closed off from life, in varying states of feeling disappointed or isolated or just simply unable to just simply relax and be themselves. And universally, what happens to people as they let go is they become more comfortable in their own skin. They feel more at ease, even in situations that used to be tense. They feel more able to handle life's challenges. And they genuinely see improvements in the level of amount of money they have in the bank. Believe it or not, when you feel less stressed and more peaceful and more happy, it affects your level of abundance. You perform better at work. You are a better entrepreneur. You invest money better and you spend it more wisely. And so all those things translate in people generally having more money. The other place that letting go really impacts is in relationship. We we go to relationships often because we want to feel complete, or we want to feel loved, or we don't want to feel alone, or we just simply like all the many benefits of being in relationship. Yet when we try to get goodness from relationship, and we often struggle because unless you're bringing your own inner happiness, your own inner completeness to relationships generally are much more of a challenge than they need to be. And so what happens as you let go is you are so okay with yourself that the other person naturally is more okay with you too. You're more fun to relate to. You're easier to relate to, and you actually can listen to what your partner is saying with new ears, and you don't see it as much as a threat or a challenge or a letdown, but more as just an opening for discussion and going deeper into a true intimacy.
Mhm.
And so it relationships transform. And then in the area of health, medical, when we first started doing this back in the 70s, there was no body of knowledge that said that the stress and the tension and the anxiety, the things that we hold on to affect us physically. But now it's universally accepted. And so what we've discovered is that when people let go, their bodies start to correct themselves. Even from the small to the extreme, when you take out the stress and the tension and the anxiety and the feelings you have about whatever's going on physically, then you naturally gravitate towards things that actually help. And your body starts to feel better, and the symptoms for most people start to drop away. And even when they're there, you're not as lost in them as you were. So people report increased health and a feeling of well-being. And lastly, people tend to just feel a lot more at home and at ease in their own bodies, their own minds, and in their worlds. And a sense of peace, a sense of calm, a sense of ease, a sense of happiness and joy become commonplace,
You
whether or
know,
not they were before.
right. And it makes so much sense, even what you said about health, because when we're stressed, we ignite the stress response. So we're headed for just about every single stress related symptom, illness, condition, disease. We're suppressing the immune system. So
Yes,
it's that's, and even just holding ourselves in that position, that stressed position, right,
I
tight
know.
and clenched.
Yeah.
And it's almost like this gives us that just that way to help release. So now we know how wonderful it is. What is it? Let's talk about
Well,
tactically.
yeah. So let's do. I'd love to do that. So pick up a pen or a pencil, some object you'd be willing to drop to the floor or your desk, wherever you're sitting. It doesn't matter. And for the sake of this analogy, this object represents your unwanted emotions, thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that are holding you back. And your hand represents your gut or your awareness. Now grip the object really tightly with your hand. Now, if you did this really long enough, it would start to feel really familiar and really uncomfortable, because this is what we're doing all the time with our emotions. But that's enough gripping. Now open your hand and roll the object around in your hand. Now, is this object attached to your hand? Of course not. But if you think about how we think and how we feel in relationship to our stress or tension, our anxiousness, our limiting feelings, it's even in our language. We don't say I feel sad. We say I'm sad. We don't say I feel angry. We say I'm angry. But every emotion that we have is attached to us, as attached to us as that object is attached to your hand. So now open your hand, and now close your hand lightly, turn your hand upside down, and just drop the object. That's how easy it can be to let go of even long-standing, very justified feelings. And remember, when you let go, it's not about condoning people's behavior. It's about just letting go of the knot that you carry inside of you, the energetic and the feeling knot. And so let's do a process, a very simple process that will help you get a sense of what this is about. And more importantly, this process is something that you can start doing on your own, and you'll start to see immediate benefit.
I
So,
know my listeners and viewers are all over that one. Yes, let's go.
okay, good. And I'm going to do this with everyone, so you don't need to respond to this. It's a group thing that I'll do. So the questions I'm going to use are: could you allow yourself to feel or welcome the feeling? The next question is, could you let it go? And could you just means, are you capable of it? And if you were able to drop that object, then I know you are, even if you could imagine it, even if you didn't do that little demonstration with us. The next question is, would you? And would you just means, are you willing to? And if you're ever not sure, you can ask yourself, would I rather hold on to this pain or the suffering, or would I rather be free of it and have what it is I choose? And then the last question is when, and when is an invitation to decide to do it now. You may find you let go on could you. You may find you let go on when. You may find you let go on would you, or anything in between. You might do a little on each, or you might save it all up. It doesn't really matter. if you stay open to this, lead with your heart as best you can, as opposed to your head. You don't have to try to shut the mind off. You couldn't do that if you wanted to anyway. But just lead as best you can from your feeling sense, your heart. Okay, so let's just do it.
Yep.
And you can do this with eyes open or eyes closed, however you prefer, just whatever you're more comfortable with. So in this moment, allow yourself to think of anything in your life, past, present, or future, that you're wanting to change or improve. And whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And then in this moment, could you allow or welcome or be present with whatever that brings up inside of you? Could you just let it be here? And then as best you can, just for now, could you let it go? Just could you? Would you? When? So let me go through that at least one more time so people have a better sense of what this is all about. And again, if you're not sure, just stay open to this. All the changes I mentioned that happened from letting go before, people have gotten even from this one first basic technique that we're going over now. So in this moment, again, focus on that same situation or any other situation where you're feeling any anxiety or tension or disappointment or regret or any kind of sense of inner contraction. And then could you just simply welcome what that brings up inside of you? Could you just let it be here? Notice it. Be present with it as best you can. And then as best you can, just for now, could you let it go? Just could you? Would you? When? And so again, each time you do it, it goes deeper and wider and it gets more natural because young children do this naturally. We as adults train it out of them. And everyone listening to me still does this occasionally, even if they're not aware of this technique. First off, when we first started doing this in the 70s, except for the 12-step community, we were really the only, and pillow beaters, we're the only ones really talking about letting go. Now it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Everyone knows you should let go. And they have there's so many techniques out there for letting go. In my experience and the reports I get back, is that this is still the most natural and the most powerful set of tools for letting go that's available anywhere.
You know what's so great about it? It's interesting because I chose something not particularly heavy because I wanted just to see how I would move through it. And being with that uncomfortable feeling, it was interesting because once I was with that uncomfortable feeling and I felt it, then it was, could I let it go? And all the excuses came up, but because I felt that, it was like, why would I want to hang on to that? It's like, right. It made it obvious what I'm hanging on to.
That's great. Yes, no, there you'll get a lot of insights as you do this as well. It's not, and sometimes insights are big releases, just the insight itself. And the more you let go, the more you really get the kind of understanding that you've always wanted about different situations and the past and why you held on to what you were holding on to. But unfortunately, when we try to figure that out first, it's very difficult. But if you let go of the feeling and the contraction, then your mind opens and clears and you get these amazing insights about what's off and what you can do in the future to live life more effectively and more
Yeah.
happily.
And I love the could you and would you, especially for the betrayal community, because they feel that so much has been taken out of their control.
Right.
And here's something where it is completely up to them. They can hang on to it if they want to,
Absolutely.
and they have been. And here's a beautiful way of addressing it kindly, and where it's up to them. Would you suggest taking the most traumatic and working on that? Taking, let's say, a scenario that doesn't create as many triggers for them and starting there. What would be the best place?
The
Where would be the
best
best place to
place, the
start?
best place to start, again, the point of this is so that you can start changing that dynamic. Generally, what we're doing is we're either suppressing our emotions or expressing them, neither which resolves as much as we'd like. Although without expressing how you feel, you can't have an open, honest relationship. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But the balancing point between these two is letting go or releasing. So I would recommend at first you use it on small things just so you can feel the difference. So you feel confident. You start to know that you actually have a choice about holding on and letting go. And then as you build your confidence and you to and start to exercise this inner ability within you, it's kind of like if you're working out. You don't start with the heaviest weights, you start with lighter weights, and you get confidence, and you also build your strength so that you can keep lifting more and more. Or so it's the same thing also. Or even with stretching, you don't try to go for the overstretch,
Mm-hmm.
because that you can damage yourself. But if you just stretch as much as you can comfortably, and each time you just press the envelope a little more, it becomes easier and easier and easier, and you're surprised at how quickly you end up in a better place. Well, the same thing is true with releasing. Use it on anything and everything, wherever you just want to feel a little immediate relief. And you'll find very quickly you'll be able to address the deepest issues, the ones you thought were completely unaddressable. Again, there are many therapists and counselors and coaches all over the world who use this in their practices, because this is just such a powerful way. The whole group of techniques called the Sedona method is such a powerful way of moving through what it is that's been holding us back.
Yeah. And just a practical question. How do you know it's not, you haven't done it enough times? And how do you know if you have?
Okay, that's completely up to you. And let me explain what I mean. You can keep doing it until, believe it or not, you can start with something really simple and you can still end up in peace. Even if it was just, hey, this person cut me off in traffic, or, they didn't put the right thing in my coffee this morning. Even those little annoyances are distracting us from that inner peace and certainty and joy and knowingness that's at our core. So the more you use this process for yourself, the more those natural characteristics that we all have inside start to shine through. You start to feel happy for no reason. You start to laugh more, smile more. So just go as far as you feel comfortable. And you'll find each time you do that, the results are so beneficial that you may go further the next time, and further the next time, and further the next time. And you can't get this wrong. Any letting go is better than no letting go. So even if you do this only occasionally, you'll still see lasting benefits in your life. But if you make this more a part of your daily routine, the benefits expand exponentially, and you'll be able to handle the deeper issues much more quickly.
Mm. And I love this, for especially for the ones who say there's no way I could just ask myself a bunch of questions and feel better. Because they're listening for sure. And I love the idea of try something smaller and just see and experience it, because nothing sells us more than when we're not sure and then we do something and we have that felt experience of, oh
Yes.
yeah, that's real. I do feel better. I do feel lighter, a little freer, whatever it is.
Yes, yes, I know. It's again, one of the things we say in every one of our audio programs and all of our seminars, we say, please don't believe a word I say. Take it for checking, be open to it as a possibility, and see what's true for you. If it's not true for you, it's useless.
Mm.
But if it is true for you, then keep working with it and see where it leads you.
Wonderful. And I know you have a new book. Tell us about the book, the new one.
The new book is called Happiness is Free and It's Easier Than You Think. And it's actually rework of I did a 5-book series in 2001. And it was a combination of my mentor's teachings and my way of explaining it and simplifying it, and how to experience it more experientially for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I re-released it because Rhonda Byrne, the woman who created The Secret, uh, came out with a new book that Lester, my mentor, myself, and the Sedona method are a very big part of, called The Greatest Secret. And I wanted people to be able to have all the information in one book. And I totally changed all the exercises. So the book is full of all sorts of exercises that are incredibly helpful in every part of your life. So, and basically it's about finding happiness without sorrow, the unlimited happiness within your own experience, and a way to live that through your entire life.
Beautiful. And who doesn't want that? What do
Yeah,
you want to make sure everyone knows as we wrap up?
just very simply, feelings are just feelings. They're not facts, and they're not you, and you can let them go. And also, you at your core are already whole, already complete, already enough as you are. And you can discover that for yourself by just being open to what's really natural and true for yourself and letting go as best you can.
You know, I love that so much, because after betrayal, it's so common to take things personally, to think that it's us, to just feel less than, and as we're recovering from either a sense of rejection, abandonment, whatever. And it's so wonderful to have tools like this to help us realize how lovable, worthy, deserving we are, and how it's a choice to hang on to this stuff or let it go. Hale, I just want to thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, for your insight. Where do we go to learn more about you and the wonderful work you do?
The easiest way is just to go to our website, sedona.com. It has information about our books, our free support calls, our seminars, our audio programs. And there's a tremendous amount of free material there as well that you can use right away. And then if you like video, we have some video on our website, but there's a tremendous amount on our The Sedona Method YouTube channel. There's over 200 videos.
Oh,
Most of them have releasing tools that you can apply immediately. And then our Facebook page, The Sedona Method Facebook page, has new quotes every day to inspire and enlighten and help us live our joy, and also lots of video.
oh, that's so terrific. And I know that this audience loves something they could immediately put into use. And I hope you hear that, everybody. You have so many resources available to you. And this is tried and true. The Sedona method is not brand spanking new. It's been around a while. I remember it from years ago and loved it. So having an opportunity to speak with you and share this with my audience has been such a gift. So thank you so much. And I'm sure you impacted a lot of people with what you shared today.
I certainly hope so. And thank you so much for having me as a guest. I really enjoyed it.
How great is that to have a handy tool like the Sedona method to let go of baggage that's been weighing you down and holding you back? Stay in touch with Hale by going to sedona.com, and we'll have all of his information in the show notes at thepbtinstitute.com/podcast. Here's my biggest takeaway: the Sedona method process. Here's a summary. 1. Could you allow yourself to be here with the emotions? 2. Could you let it go? 3. Would you let it go? Are you willing to let it go? 4. When will you let it go? And that's the invitation to let it go. Start with something small and test it out, and try the process using the pen, like Hale explained. When you do, you'll realize that the pen isn't attached to us. It's something we can let go of at any time. And when we do, we're so much lighter, freer, and happier. Speaking of becoming happier, have you checked out the PBT Institute membership community? There is everything in there that you'd ever need to become your physical, your mental, your emotional best. Community support, certified coaches and practitioners that you could schedule time with, daily classes on all kinds of interesting topics, curated experts teaching advanced strategies in the areas of health, mindset, spirituality, personal development. Imagine the most friendly, welcoming, and supportive place to become your best, and it's all online. Nothing like this exists, and I am so excited to welcome you. Go to thepbtinstitute.com/join to learn more. Thanks for listening. Can't wait to be with you next time, and here's to your breakthrough.